Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. LPK's Roundtables are virtual forums that bring together category leaders, industry provocateurs, and bold innovators to look up, out, and ahead, understanding how consumers are evolving and what that means for the brands that serve them. A lot of you here today might know one of us or know LPK, but if it's your first time, welcome. LPK is a leading creative consultancy. Through deep discovery and beautiful expression, we help businesses know, grow, and innovate for their ever-changing consumers and customers, driving future growth, brand growth, and cultural relevance. And we can trace our roots doing this kind of work back to 1919. Our institutional knowledge and talent is unmatched, and we're always evolving with the times. LPK has been on the front lines of over a century of consumer change. And what sets us apart is that we leave no one knowns. We dive deep into category, competition, and culture to get a really full picture of the context of any problem. We live at the intersection where data meets desire. So we're combining consumer data with universal human truths to really tap into what people really want. And we're future fluent. We track what's at the leading edge of a category and forecast how consumer behavior will shift into the future so that we can prepare brands to thrive. And to that end, we create future obsession. So we believe that this is the thing that every business should be focused on right now, solutions that solve your consumer's next problem, acting today to assure relevance tomorrow. So let's talk about tomorrow and how consumer changes are creating opportunities for the future of pet. So as a creative consultancy, the consumer is always at the heart of everything we do on a daily basis. And we have been tracking consumer behavior over the past few quarters and have noticed some trends around new standards of care that have a significant impact on the future of pet. We've also attended Super Zoo at the PEX Expo in Las Vegas last month. So that's where we met some of you. So our faces might be familiar. For the pet industry, the Super Zoo Expo is like a barometer for what's trending. So we're going to talk a little bit about what we saw, how that lined up with what we've been sensing more broadly, and what the biggest opportunities are for brands like yours. Today, we'll unpack 3 shifts that we've identified that are driving the pet category forward. The trends apply across the pet space, but most of the examples you'll see today will just acknowledge are cat and dog specific, as that's the largest market opportunity. Of course, today's content is just going to be the tip of the iceberg of what there is to talk about pet. The landscape's so much broader than our 45 minutes together will allow. So please send us a note, and we can always schedule around 2 to unpack your specific situation as well. Before we get into it, we'll just quickly introduce our co-hosts. I'm Karina Sandoval. I'm a brand strategy director with over a decade of experience helping brands connect with their consumers across categories with specific attention to CPG. And I also have a grumpy old tabby cat who looks just like Garfield. Next is my colleague, Kyle.
Yep. Hi, everyone. Kyle Schutte, Director, Client and Category Partnership. Been at LPK a little bit over 15 years. And I have 2 animals, a Frenchton, half French Bulldog, half Boston Terrier, Luna, and a 14-year-old cat who just loves a puppy, an energetic dog that she is named Benny. And I'll pass it off to Meredith.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Meredith Post, and I'm a senior creative director at LPK. I have about almost 15 years experience in the pet category, delivering extraordinary creative for brands like Milkbone and Eukanuba and Iams, going way back. And yeah, as we get into it, please fire up your chat. It's really fun when these are lively. And if you have any questions as we go, please drop them into the chat. We'll answer them at the end in our Q&A session. And just housekeeping, make sure that you set your chat to everyone and not just hosts and panelists, which is what it defaults to. That way everyone can see your questions. And when you introduce yourself, everyone can see it as well. So I will pass it back off to Karina.
Okay, so let's dive right into our first trend space. We'll talk a bit about some of the sociocultural drivers impacting consumer behavior today. So right now we're in the middle of a culture shifting loneliness epidemic, and it's hitting generations in different ways. While millennials are having fewer children, Gen Z is facing a friend recession driven by busy work lives and digital socializing that's reducing face-to-face interaction. So this is leading people to rely more on their pets to fill emotional gaps in their lives, and is shifting the pet and owner relationships from caregiving to more codependency. According to the American Psychiatric Association, 2/3 of pet owners say their pets provide companionship, friendship, and unconditional love and support. This is a bond that people have really come to rely on for their emotional well-being. The Washington Post reports that 47% of Americans feel separation anxiety when leaving their dogs, with 69% preferring to work remotely to stay with their pets. Some of us benefit of that right now. And some feel so guilty that they might even get a pet for their pet, not even for themselves, but just to keep their first pet company. So ultimately, many pet owners believe that they and their pets cannot live without each other. With this shift in pet and owner relationships, we're also seeing a rise of emotional support pets. In 2024, 1 in 5 American pet owners has an emotional support animal. That's about 66 million people, or the populations of California and Texas combined. While this is not a new concept, emotional support animals are now more accessible and more visible, so they're becoming a key part of daily emotional care. This was once a more niche category requiring professional training. But now the process is really being democratized. That was a tough word today, by platforms like YouTube and Rover, really empowering owners to train and care for their emotional support animals independently. So more everyday people are really starting to gain more access, making the process more integrated into their personal well-being routines, and even, into budgeting for pet care as part of self-care as well. And this emotional closeness that people are feeling with their pets is showing up in how we parent them and how we name them. Kinship is reported that pet owners often raise their pets similarly to how they were personally raised, reflecting familiar parenting patterns. So this suggests that the bond between pets and owners is really rooted in that deep emotional familial context, where pets are really key to family dynamics and support structures. Meanwhile, Slate recently reported the rise of human names like Oliver and Sophie for pets, really highlighting how pets are increasingly treated as true family members and emotional companions. So let's just see if your pet names are aligning with that trend. What do we have going on in the chat?
Yeah, it looks like we have Max, Abby, Peter. Have not heard of that one. Let's see, a Benny, a Riley, a Sasha. Lots of human names.
Yeah, there we go, represented here as well. So we see with these examples how pets are really being humanized and emotionally tied with their owners, to be seen as more than just animals. So here, our social isolation and emotional dependence on pets is driving brands towards solutions that help to bridge those gaps. So we're seeing companies like Mars Mart is a Chinese supermarket that hosts dog events to socialize both pets and humans, and the emergence of pet parent social clubs, similar to run clubs and things like that, integrating their pets. In addition to that, seeing some growth in pet dedicated spaces like pet playgrounds. For example, Wagbar in North Carolina, pictured here, kind of serving as this connection point for pet parents while removing the anxiety of being apart from each other. So there's really an opportunity here for products and experiences to tap into those moments that nurture the emotional bonds between animal and human and help to create those core memories for both of them and leave lasting impressions. So we've been seeing this emergence across the pet category, including some examples that we saw at Super Zoo. So Swift Paws on the top left is a health and wellness lifestyle brand for pets, and they really advocate for playing well with our pets to elevate our relationships while building a bond that really respects their natural behaviors. Fluent Pet is an example on the bottom left. They provide communication tools designed to enrich the lives of animals while strengthening the bond that they have with humans. And these two brands were leading some really great, insightful conversations around the topic of animal enrichment at Super Zoo last month, and they were highlighting their vision of this category, moving towards a new way of interacting and communicating with pets, while also addressing their needs. There's also some other communication-based technologies emerging as well over on the right side here, leaning more on the AI space, seeing how AI is really reshaping the way that we're caring for our pets, like offering some personalized solutions, including communication assistance. On the far right is Bark GPT, is an AI bark-to-speech translator that's currently in beta mode. And Meow Talk in the middle is this cat translation app, and I'll show you a quick video to see how it works because it's just too fun.
My cat is being dramatic because I locked him in to stop him from harassing the bunnies in my yard.
I always want to be near you.
Are you seriously talking to the baby bunnies that you were just hunting?
Can you hear me, my love?
Stop saying you love them!
We're in the future. So the takeaway here is these brands are really thinking big and envisioning a world where we're communicating with our pets like they're just a friend who speaks another language instead of a totally different species. Oop, backtrack there. All right, so to wrap up this section here, as the role of pets as emotional anchors really becomes ever more critical, what does this mean for you? So brands have a chance to step into this space in a few ways. First, consider how a brand's positioning might shift if we're thinking about a consumer truth around pets as partners in self-care. What might change? Secondly, design brand experiences that foster core memories and strengthen bonds between people and pets. And with your brands in turn, being part of that bonding story can have a big impact. And lastly, explore product development around emotional support tools and enrichment-focused offerings that can benefit both pet and parent alike. So thinking about both sides of that relationship. By acknowledging that depth in that pet-human relationship, we're not only meeting consumer needs, but we're shaping a future where pets are more than just companions. They're really support systems and mutual partners in our well-being as well. So next, Meredith will take us through our second trend space.
Yeah, thanks, Karina. And yeah, I love that app that translates a cat's meow. I would have loved to have had that when I had my cats. But yeah, for the second trend space, we're noticing something really interesting in the demographics and economics of US households. So American households now have more pets than children, and pets are increasingly being integrated into all aspects of owners' lives. I'm sure a lot of people on this call, that's not necessarily new news, right? But what is really interesting is that, with birth rates declining and people choosing not to have children, those without kids are having this disposable income that they're then investing in their pets. So you may have heard the term DINKs or even DINKWADs, which is an acronym that stands for dual income, no kids, or dual income, no kids with a dog. And since we see a greater increase in the spend of the discretionary income on their pets, we're also starting to see a convergence of pets as lifestyle signifiers, and creating a parallel between the human experience economy with that of pets. So on the next slide, this is where it starts to get really interesting. So for many of these folks, the dual income, no kids, really investing in their pets' lives. Their pets have really become central in their lifestyles, accompanying them everywhere, every day. And with more of that discretionary income, pet owners are able to invest in more premium products and more premium experiences for themselves and their pets. So these consumers are at the forefront of what we're seeing as emerging in this category and leading the way. So treating pets as extensions of your identity beyond just pets are the new kids. It's, they're, really representing your lifestyle and your identity and channeling their resources into creating these idealized versions of themselves and their pet. So this dynamic often sees pets receiving the same, if often not greater, care than human family members. So thus there's a really, big global rise in pet-friendly places and experiences, with travel being one really big key area that we're seeing. In the United States, 78% of pet owners travel with their pets annually, with 52% basing their travel plans on how they're able to accommodate their pets. And capitalizing on this are brands like, you'll see here, the Plaza Hotel or Bark Air, which is brand new, offering luxury pet inclusive travel experiences, including Yes, custom fit robes and gourmet treats for the dog, which again, this is nicer than how I travel, right? On the next slide, we'll dive into some a little bit more data, but pet brands are really cashing in on this DINK income opportunity. So we all know that the pet care market is growing. You see that, 259 billion number there that's going to be growing even to 427 billion by 2032. But where is all that money going? And some of that is in these luxury experiences like the hotels and the airline that we just discussed. But what was really even interesting, pet owners in the UK spend about £500, which is about 620 US dollars each year on luxury products for their furry friends. So this includes things like designer clothes, luxury beds, fancy toys, gourmet treats. And the data even revealed that 7 out of 10 UK pet owners are willing to spend more on luxuries for their animals than themselves. And that is huge. So in short, pet owners are really splurging on special things beyond everyday essentials. Now, how are we starting to see this come to life? This is one of my favorite slides of the whole presentation. This is a peek into a wild world. So the lines between human and pet lifestyles are completely blurring. So pets have very main character energy on social media, and it's really reflecting and shaping their owners' identities and influencing lifestyle choices. So you can see in these TikToks here, pets are getting very much the human treatment. And like on the left in the center, we have spa days going on for that dog and cat, which I don't know how they got the cat to sit for that, but that's probably, a whole other story. But over on the far right, really interesting. This one couple that does not have children were turning their spare bedroom into basically a doggy retreat, which, I mean, there's a ton of detail and love going into them creating that. And just like social media creates pressure for us to meet certain standards of beauty or aesthetics, as human beings, examples like this are really elevating what it means to care for our pets and setting the standard for what that should be. And again, it's usually right now in the world of pet, a level that is higher than how we treat ourselves or even children. We're going to fire up a poll here. In just a second, you'll see it pop up. But we would love to know, have you ever made a purchase for a pet's birthday? Whether that's your pet, a family member's pet, a friend's pet. We'll give you a second to respond. And I'm excited to see what everyone does. But in the meantime, there's definitely a growing demand for products that enable meaningful shared experiences. And there's a vast consumer base eager to enrich their pets' lives and celebrate moments together. Let's take a look at the results of the poll. 82% have made a purchase for a pet's birthday, with 5% saying not yet, but I plan to. Only 14 have not. So that is right in line with everything that we're seeing. And the images on this slide here are from the Lazy Dog Cookie Company, our friends in New York there. So they were an early innovator in this space, offering pet-friendly products like birthday cakes and celebratory treats and drinks designed to cater to the trend of human-inspired occasion for pets. 1/3 of Gen Zers are already buying their dogs cakes, and pet owners without children are using these memories as actual big events in their lives. We've probably seen it on social media, and it's always Insta-worthy. But yeah, the festivities are always matching the lifestyle behaviorally and aesthetically. Every detail matters. And then speaking of aesthetics, pet brands continue to elevate their look, tone, and feel into the human realm. So we saw a lot of great examples at Super Zoo. I'll touch upon them very briefly here. Over on the left, we have Floof. It's a skincare brand for your pet, and it obviously very much looks like something that could be seen at a Sephora, right? That a human would buy for themselves, but it's for your pet. We have Wild One, that bottom center, which is really trend forward. It's a fashionable leader in the space of pet accessories. The color palette of the accessories is just beautiful. And they call the collar decor that they make Flair. And it reminds me a lot of the, I think it's the little croc charms that kids put on their shoes, which is just has so much cleverness and personality. Mal Pets, bottom right, has completely elevated the cat furniture game. We all know that we've probably seen kind of the awkward cat furniture that people have in their living rooms and whatnot, but they actually have turned them into basically a piece of art that could live in your home or on your wall that people maybe wouldn't necessarily know right away that that's for a cat, but it is still a perfect place for cats to kind of find their perch and, view everyone in the room and watch and judge everyone while they're just taking a nap. So, and then of course, top right, I'm biased because our team here designed this packaging, but Milkbone and Dunkin' dog treats that are inspired by human donuts. And yes, the treats smell like actual donuts. So the biggest takeaway here is that more and more pet products are looking like human products. And this allows pets to have products that fit their lifestyle. And lastly, for this trend space, in summary, this is a good spot to take a screenshot. But number one, if pets are an extension of their owner's lifestyle, how is your brand positioning itself to make that shift or be approached as more of a lifestyle brand than just a pet brand? Number two, pets are fully included in special occasions. How can you generate excitement and buzz around your brand for a special occasion? It doesn't necessarily even have to be a birthday or traditional holiday. What moments are important for pets and pet owners to celebrate or to make it special? And, think of cakes and toys and decor tailored for these occasions. And then lastly, there's a huge opportunity to continue to elevate the look, tone, and feel of pet brands that's a little bit more human inspired. And it helps pet parents feel something out of the ordinary. It's not just, your basic, picture of a dog and call it a day type of a pack. How can you really stand out at shelf and have something that feels more emotional and more meaningful for pet parents that are really elevating their standards? So brands that recognize these trends will be really well positioned to thrive in the evolving pet care market. So I'll toss it off to Kyle for the last space.
Thanks, Meredith. All right, last but not least, we're going to talk a little bit about wellness. So we would be remiss to not talk about the impact of both technology and the changing environment on our pets. 2024 is set to outrank 2023 as the hottest year on record. These warming temperatures are exacerbating seasonal allergens and extending allergy season in general. And as we see the climate change continue to impact the environment that surrounds not only us, we have to consider how this can affect our pets as much as it affects ourselves. So meanwhile, advancements in diagnostic technology and expanded veterinary capabilities through telemedicine, they're broadening the realm of possibilities for what can be done for our pets. So people are tuning in to proactively make improvements for their pets' lives with a much more holistic and integrated approach to pet health and pet wellness than ever before. With this shift, the demand for veterinary services is at an all-time high. Technological advances are leading pet owners to expect more now than ever from their vets, but they're also going to them more frequently for advice. So the vets have become a very influential part to pet owners' decision making. And they've even started to become, much more forward-facing in how these pet brands and organizations market themselves or kind of outwardly come to the world. So this is an example from Kismet, a celebrity brand. They are not alone in having a chief veterinary officer, Quan Stewart here. He's on a lot of their videos, but we're seeing much more of a prevalence of highlighting the expertise via vet because of the trust that consumer brands can leverage by having a chief veterinary officer or that kind of voice of reason that our consumers do trust. And according to the American Pet Products Association, younger pet owners do still get most of their pet information online, but vets are not far behind on this. And their influence is growing with that group roughly 5% year over year. And in line with that behavior shift, Gen Z pet owners are the most likely to buy pet insurance. 31% of Gen Z pet owners have pet insurance. This goes down with subsequent generations, all the way to 8% of boomers having pet insurance. So this reflects a dedication to giving pets a really high quality care by being much more proactive and preventative. And you can see with Gen Z being leading at the forefront of a lot of these trends, it likely is just going to, stay this way and become more and more of a, vet assisted and trusted source of information. The impact of this shift can be seen in the growth of veterinary services market. It's $38 billion. I mean, a few slides ago, Meredith went over the entire pet industry. I mean, 38 billion being spent in the veterinary services market, and that's up 10% from the previous year. And some of what's driving that increase in revenue are new treatments available for chronic conditions in pets, such as osteoporosis, things that just weren't previously available, but technology and folks just being generally interested in the preventative and care of their animals is leading to more spending with veterinary services. Another area that is growing in the US, particularly, is the pet supplements market. So it's reached a $4.3 million market cap in 2023, but it's expected to double by 2033 with a compound annual growth rate of 7.3%. Driving this is a very sharp increase in the adoption of vitamins in terms of supplements. They're up 50% since 2018 for dogs and 60% up for cats, according to the American Pet Products Association. So, although the prevailing sentiment among vets and trainers in the past has been not to feed our pet what we're eating as humans, the human wellness, field and trends have evolved, and so therefore pet wellness supplements have too, and they're creating a much more integrated wellness space that we as humans share with our pets and kind of ping back and forth what we do for ourselves and what we do for our pets. Mary's going to post in the chat here. Would love everyone to kind of drop what they see as the most pressing wellness need for pets today. So can't wait to see what everyone comes with there, and we'll touch on that in a minute. But just as human food and the beverage industries are focusing on functional benefits, the pet care area in this has grown significantly as well. So the choices we're making for ourselves as humans are very much influencing the pet-related decisions we make for our furry friends. So this is blurring the lines between human and animal wellness trends. Some of the areas of biggest overlap that we're seeing, as I had mentioned, seasonal allergies. They affect 10 to 15% of dogs and cats, making it the top global pet health concern. And meanwhile, the use of calming products has skyrocketed, increases of 168% for dogs and 174% for cats since 2018. So even more drastically an increase in calming products than even the supplement market. And these are especially useful for managing stress and pain for issues like arthritis, etc. Additionally, we know that 11% of dogs and 13% of cats are prescribed weight loss diets. Nothing kind of new there. That percentage has been steady. But what is very fascinating is drug manufacturers are now looking at developing GLP-1 drugs for pets, which, yeah, we were never going to make it through 2024 without a GLP-1 being in a discussion. And of course, it's going to be coming to our animals sooner than later. So these trends highlight how a holistic approach to pet health can open up niche markets that mirror the concerns that owners have for themselves. We're placing those concerns and preventative measures on our animals. And for all that we're learning about our pets' medical needs, there are still parts that remain a mystery to us. Health mysteries about humans are still there for pets. But AI is stepping up to bridge some of these gaps. And they're making pet care smarter by helping humans better understand pet behavior. Innovations in personal care and biometrics from human industries are now pushing for a more tech-enhanced connection in healthcare with our pets. We see litter boxes that monitor vitals for our cats, large language models guiding telemedicine. AI is offering instant insights into pet health, which consumers are expecting more and more. If I expect it for myself, I'm going to expect that benefit and capability for my pet. And big brands are taking note of this. Mars Pet Care is investing $1 billion with a B dollars over the next 3 years to expand their tech and AI capabilities. So as this tech becomes more integrated into our lives, we will have an expectation that it spans across all categories, and pet care cannot fall behind in that regard. Karina, Meredith, and I had attended Super Zoo, as we mentioned, and we've seen a lot of this trend towards holistic health grow across the pet category with examples from Super Zoo. Meredith and I were at Global Pet Expo earlier this year. Just wanted to highlight some of the examples that really bring this to light. So on the left, we have Paulco Foods. It uses AI to analyze individual pet health data beyond just the breed, which has kind of been the standard, specificity that a lot of brands and manufacturers could do in the past. in order to create a custom nutritious food reflecting the rise of the personalized formulas we see in the human beauty and wellness space. We're seeing them show up in our dog's food as well. We have calming treats with CBD, once met with wide skepticism in the industry, now being much more widely accepted. So we have products like Pause, CBD, and mushroom-based formulations. And these ingredients are going from niche to mainstream, same the way that they're happening in the human food segment. So brands, have to adopt to do what you might have considered niche in the past. And then finally on the right, Cave Pets is one of many brands championing microbiome support. Pre and probiotic supplements are rising significantly in popularity. I know that we've started to use prebiotics every morning with our dog. So the category's focus on functionality has really intensified over the last couple of years, and particularly in the last 6 months. I mean, again, from our trips to Global Pet earlier this year and Super Zoo, just walking through those new product showcases, you're just hit with function, function, function. So as brands increasingly incorporate the human wellness ingredients into their pet products, the better off they'll be. So finally, I've covered off that consumers are approaching the pet wellness with a much more integrated mindset, but what does that mean for you all on this call? So your brands have a chance to step up in this space in a few ways. First, although consumers may trust, our vets today, it's very important to trace how attitudes may shift over time. So will trust in vets wane following reduced trust in human medical establishments? And how might that impact the way we develop products and communicate with them? So let's keep an eye on how much, brands put at the forefront of their marketing communications, veterinary expertise, and things like that. Next, human wellness trends can give us a huge clue into what consumers will be willing to do for their pets. Meredith went over how we're going to splurge and give more luxurious experiences for our pets. So we're going to be looking to do as much or more for them from a wellness standpoint as well. And this can really help us forecast opportunities for innovation pipelines to address jobs to be done in new and different ways. And lastly, AI is a valuable innovation tool. It can be used across process and product. I'm not going to call it in its infant stage, but AI is starting to crawl, and every category is experimenting with it, and pet will be no different. And the opportunity to continue to push boundaries to make our pets' lives better will be expected as that technology advances for humans. So brands that take a holistic, future-forward view of pet wellness will be able to foresee and seize some untapped opportunities in the market. And being first out there or being an early adopter, you can really set yourself up to be a trusted leader and innovator in the space. And with that, I will toss it over to Karina to kind of bring us on home.
Hey, so as we wrap up, wanted to just ladder back up to those 3 biggest shifts that we'll want you to take with you from today. This is a great opportunity to capture key takeaways if you want to take a quick screenshot here. But to summarize, emotionally, we saw how the loneliness epidemic has led to tighter emotional connections with our pets that nourish our own personal well-being as well. Socially, we saw how lower birth rates have kind of funneled this disposable income towards pet perks, those special extra things that reflect a bigger lifestyle. And functionally, we saw how tech advances have changed the way we look at pet wellness and have really expanded the possibilities for much more integrated care. And with that, we'd love to dig into some questions from the chat.
Great. And yes, I think, Anna, we might have already answered your question that was, are you seeing more functional ingredients in food and treats like mushrooms, CBD, botanicals, et cetera? I think it's even wild at Super Zoo. There was cat litter that had like probiotics in it, which, I mean, that was a whole new way of looking at functionality in the pet space. You just don't know where you'll see it next, right? So Kyle and Karina, while I collect some more Q&A, I don't know if you guys had anything else to say about functionality.
Yeah, what was interesting to me is we saw it everywhere in new product showcase. So I think next year it's going to be more on the main floor. I'm sure it'll continue to show up in new product showcase. So it definitely is happening now, I think, more than ever. And I would not expect for it to slow down. You're seeing more niche players introduce it, but I think more mainstream players will as well.
We did get one question sent to us. What role does sustainability play in the pet category? Karina, I'll toss it over to you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like it might overlap a little bit with Anna's point about allergies and food, based on some of the things that we learned at Super Zoo. Sustainability is another really huge topic that we couldn't get into today, but it's really another emerging space that is definitely worth exploring as consumers are becoming more aware of how their purchasing decisions are impacting the environment. And actually, it's said that pet owners care more about their environmental impact than other folks as well, and are making adjustments to their purchases. So, at Super Zoo, we heard from some interesting brands in this space like Arch Pet Food and Shameless Pet that are really shifting to more sustainable ingredients, and like ingredient being a key a place where you can have a really big impact on sustainability, and using, things like insects or invasive carp or upcycled food products that would otherwise be wasted. And that kind of loops back to that anxiety point. Like Arch um, has this sustainable mission, but a lot of the reasons people come to them is because they are more allergy friendly. So there's kind of an interesting crossover opportunity of the benefits between something functional like allergy friendly, but also happens to have a better impact on the planet as well.
Awesome. And I know that and something that I haven't even seen take off that I've been curious to see if it will is crickets instead like as a replacement of protein in pet food, knowing it's a more sustainable option. I know that Jiminy's really champions that. I haven't seen it really hit more mainstream, but that's something I've had my eye on in recent years for sure. All right, Kyle, we had a question. Do people have less pets or more pets than the past? Like how many families are having less kids than previous generations?
We do know that that there are more pets than ever. I know I pulled up this stat. My fun anecdote was if pets could vote, they surely can pick the next president. So there are, sorry, let me get this here. 66% of households having pets right now, and that's up from, in the 50% in the 80s and 90s. So definitely more and more pets, more and more households with pets, and then each household, the number per pets is going up.
Yeah. And I think it's a real thing, be like getting your pet a friend. I've done that. Like, I think that that's a real thing that people that got pets during COVID are right now thinking about like, I feel like I need to give them a friend. And I have a lot of friends that are kind of on the edge of getting a second pet. And so I think I could see it continuing to grow, the multi-pet home. All right, Karina, we had a question. This was a really interesting one. So, like with baby care, the final consumer is not the customer. Are there other parallels that you've seen between the baby care category and pets? That's a good one.
Yeah, totally. That's really interesting. Yeah, I think it's no surprise that like the pet world and the baby world overlap because, people are calling their pets fur babies after all. So the fact that you're selling to caregivers across both of these is a huge commonality. I think in both instances, consumers are thinking about what the product is going to be able to accomplish. Like there's already things in the pet space taking away lessons from baby. Is this pee pad absorbent enough? Is this doggy diaper comfortable enough? But it's been interesting to see a few emerging brands really leaning into more of that like kind of like the thing you were talking about, Meredith, like the human aesthetics for things like that to really communicate those benefits in a more compelling and an emotional way. But at the same time, these consumers are also thinking like, what does this product say about me as a parent or pet parent, as a caregiver? Not quite in this category, but I did recently see a Disney World commercial really appealing to parents by framing like, be the type of parent who takes your kid to Disney in this really emotional, compelling way that I thought that was really, really interesting in this context.
That's great. We just got another one that just popped in from Maxim asking, is there more anxiety over rising costs for pet care, i.e. opportunities for price sensitive customer base? Kyle, what do you think?
Yeah, we see, value-based products. I think as the category becomes more and more mature, one of the things that's always going to happen is kind of trickle down. So instead of new technologies or ingredients like calming things being niche and therefore higher priced, there's going to be an expectation that there has to be a value option available. I mean, and Karina, I want your opinion here, but I think it's a tension point of us willing to spend more for our pets than ourselves. But there's still macroeconomics that are impacting every category, and pet care would be no different. So I think one of the things that will start to happen is the value products that you can get for your pet will mature from just simple treats and food to offer a lot more of these new things that have been going on in the category in the last few years as well.
Yeah, I think like adding all those functional benefits is like adding value for price, right? Like how much are you getting out of the treat? Is it going to add something additional to just pleasure? But also thinking about, some of what's driving people to purchase more insurance is seeing the large costs of veterinary care and how, people might curb that for themselves as well.
Right. And then we got one from Amanda. What are you seeing as major shifts in the pet industry following the COVID pet boom? I mean, I'll let you guys hop in. I think that a lot of these are like the shifts, the things that we were talking about today, following the COVID pet boom. I think that the amount of people getting pets rising and then wanting to spend money on their pets to not only like as people go back to their normal lives in the last handful of years, like they feel guilty that they're leaving their pet at home that they used to spend 24/7 with around the clock. And so I think, getting them a little special treat or something nice for their pet out of a little bit of guilt of like, I have to go to work for the next 7 hours and I'll miss you. And I know you're going to miss me. I feel like there's just money just flooding in. And again, I think we're going to continue to see more and more and more people getting pets or second or third animals. And I think that just the maturity of the category based on the competition, the amount of money that is flooding in. And I think that seeing these shifts of, okay, like we're going to look more elevated. We're going to look more premium. We're going to, beg, borrow, and steal from the human world in terms of skincare and wellness. I think that you're just going to continue to see more and more of those shifts as the category matures.
Yeah, I think it's almost a self-fulfilling prophecy of COVID and everyone having more and more animals also has gotten us closer. It's meant that we, want to be more in tune with their complete 360 wellness and their anxiety and their microbiome. I think a lot of that was driven not only from the fact that, purchases of pets went up, but our time and connection with them really went up in COVID as well and kind of changed the game forever on how we view them.
Absolutely. All right, one final question, a question on new product forms that captured our attention at Super Zoo. I know, oh my gosh, Kyle and Karina, I know we went through the new product showcase and it really stood out how forms are completely even like evolving and changing. Like I think one of the coolest ones that I saw, I think it was more so in the cat space that I could see the dog's space taking heed of is using more human forms like deodorant sticks that allow for something that might be a wellness product, sort of like a treat, like a click and lick sort of a thing that I'm like, this looks like a moisturizer or a deodorant stick that you see in the human world, but it's putting something in there that is easy to travel with and it's mess free and it allows you to kind of click one dosage for your pet to like take a lick of. And I thought that was pretty brilliant.
Yeah, that's a really great example of looking somewhere totally unexpected for inspiration, for innovation. Who would ever thought deodorant inspired liquid? Amazing. So in our last minute here, just to close up, thank you so much for your questions and engagement. We'll be sharing out a recap and recording of this session tomorrow, so keep an eye out for that. And please feel free to reach out. Our emails are here. I think Meredith posted on the chat to set up a meeting to discuss further. Our next roundtable is coming up at the end of October on the theme of earning Gen Z's trust. Super exciting topic that's going to be super, super relevant to anyone and everyone in business. So we hope we'll see you there as well. Thank you all for your time today and enjoy the rest of your day.
Bye, everybody.